left to bleed on the battlefield. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke rose from the black ground. Broken machines burned ships and lifeless bodies were everywhere. The air smelled like fire and blood. The war had passed through this place like a storm, and only silence remained. Lying among the ruins was Valera, a warrior from the planet Zareen. Her armor was cracked, her left arm covered in blood. She could not feel her legs. One of her horns was chipped, and her sharp, glowing eyes were fading. She coughed. Blood came out. She was breathing, but not for long. Valera had been a strong fighter, one of the best in her unit. She had never lost a battle. But this time the humans were smarter. They had better weapons, faster machines. Her squad was wiped out in minutes. Her last memory was trying to protect a young soldier from a human blast. Now she lay alone. The sky above her was dark purple, the moons of her planet watching her like quiet gods. She blinked slowly, every breath harder than the last. She thought, this is how it ends. I die alone like so many others, forgotten. Then she heard something. Footsteps. She tried to lift her head, but her body didn't move. Her heart beat faster. Was it an enemy? A scavenger? A beast coming to eat the dead? The sound came closer. Crunch, crunch, crunch. A shadow appeared in the smoke. It wasn't one of her people. It wasn't a Zareen soldier. It was a human. He was tall, wore old Earth-style armor, scratched and covered in dust. His helmet was off and his face was strange. No horns, no glowing skin, just soft brown hair, eyes like a clear sky, and a look she couldn't understand. Not hate, not fear, just calm. He knelt beside her. Valera growled weakly. "Kill me already," she whispered. The human didn't speak. He pulled out a scanner, looked at the reading and made a quiet, "You're lucky," he said finally, his voice deep but gentle. "Your heart's still working." She didn't answer. Her mind screamed, "Why are you helping me? We're enemies." He reached into his pack and pulled out a small silver tube. It clicked open and sprayed a cool mist over her wounds. The pain faded. Valera gasped. "Why?" The human looked at her with tired eyes. "I've seen enough people die today." He picked her up slowly, carefully. She tried to resist, but her body wouldn't move. His arms were strong, and his steps were steady. She drifted in and out of consciousness. Once she heard him whisper, "You're not dying here." She wanted to laugh, or maybe scream, but her eyes closed and everything went black. She dreamed of war. She saw her home burning, her people screaming, her mother's voice calling her name. She saw the young soldier she had tried to save, his face full of fear. And then she saw the human carrying her, protecting her. Time passed, minutes, hours, maybe days. When her eyes opened again, she was not on the battlefield. She was in a bed, a soft bed, clean, warm. The room was dim, lit by glowing panels. There were strange machines around her and a smell of herbs and metal. She blinked slowly. Where was she? Where was the human? She tried to sit up, but her body was weak. Just then the door opened. He walked in. Same face, same eyes, same calm. "You're awake," he said. Valera stared at him. "What is this?" "My place, middle of nowhere. No one knows you're here. Why am I alive?" The human paused. Then he smiled. "You were worth saving. Waking in a strange place." Valera woke up, but something felt wrong. Not pain, not fire, not death. Softness, warmth, peace. Her body did not hurt like before. She lay still, breathing slowly. A soft sheet covered her. The air smelled clean, too clean. There was no blood, no smoke, no ash. She opened her eyes. Above her was a smooth ceiling, not the sky. Pale yellow lights hummed quietly. Walls curved like a small ship cabin, but warmer, softer. This wasn't a prison. This wasn't a battlefield. This was safety? Valira sat up fast, instincts kicking in. Her arm still ached, but the wound was gone. Her skin was bandaged, her armor gone. She wore a simple gray shirt, loose pants, human clothes. Panic struck her. She looked around for weapons, a stick, a rock, anything. She grabbed a glass of water from the table and held it like a blade. Just then, a sound. The door opened. The human walked in. Valira froze. He wore a dark shirt, sleeves rolled up, a cloth in one hand. He stopped when he saw her holding the glass. "You planning to fight me with that?" he asked. She narrowed her eyes. "Where am I?" "My outpost," he said. "About 30 kilometers from the battlefield. No one comes here." "Why am I here?" "You passed out. I brought you here. You should have let me die." He shrugged. "I've heard that before. People don't always mean it." She dropped the glass. "I'm your enemy." The man walked to a corner and sat down calmly. "Right now you're a guest, that's all." Valira studied him. His face was calm, but something deep in his eyes looked broken. A silence filled the room. She finally asked, "Who are you?" He hesitated, then said, "Elias." "No rank?" "Not anymore." "You're a soldier." "I was." "Why save me?" Elias looked at her and answered simply, "Because you didn't deserve to die like that." Hours passed. Valira explored the outpost, slowly regaining her strength. The place was simple but clean. One bed, small kitchen, old medbots, dusty books, and tech from 3 different planets. Everything was quiet. No sounds from outside, only wind. She opened a window and looked out. Mountains, snow, no cities, no ships, just silence. He had truly taken her far away. That night, she sat across from him as he cooked something in a metal pan. It smelled strange, but good. "You live here alone?" she asked. Elias nodded. "No one checks this place?" They stopped caring about this sector years ago. "You chose this isolation?" "I didn't choose anything, just stayed." He handed her a bowl. She sniffed it, suspicious, then tasted it. Her eyes widened slightly. It was good, better than anything she'd had in the field. "You're a soldier and a cook?" He chuckled. "Everyone picks up skills in war." She wanted to stay angry, stay cold, but her body relaxed as she ate. This didn't feel like prison. It felt like something new. That night, she couldn't sleep. She walked quietly around the outpost and peeked into a locked room. The door was slightly open. Inside was a small table, with photos, human soldiers. Smiling, a girl with bright eyes and a kind face. Elias stood next to her in one photo, his arm around her, a medal on his chest. In another photo, he was alone. No smile. The last photo was burned around the edges, half missing. Valira stepped back, quietly closed the door. He had lost someone. She returned to bed. In the dark, Elias stood outside looking at the sky. He whispered, "She doesn't know it yet. But she's the first voice I've heard in months." He looked at his hands, hands that had taken lives, and saved one. The human's hidden life days passed. Valira was healing fast, but something else was changing, her thoughts. She had been raised to hate humans, to believe they were cold, cruel, and dangerous. But Elias was none of those. He never locked her in, never asked questions, never tried to control her. Every day he made food, repaired machines, checked her bandages. Sometimes he'd vanish outside and return with firewood or rare herbs. She started watching him. When he thought she wasn't looking, he would just sit still, eyes staring at nothing, like he was listening to ghosts. One morning, she followed, him quietly. He walked to a small shed behind the outpost, opened a rusted metal box. Inside were old earth medals, torn letters, a broken comm badge, and a small crystal vial. She couldn't read the human writing, but one letter had her photo. Or someone who looked like her. He stared at it for a long time. Then he closed the box and whispered, "I'm sorry, Rena." Valira stepped on a branch by accident. He turned around. "Enjoying the view?" he asked calmly. She didn't answer. Instead, she asked who was Rena. He looked down. "Someone I didn't save." Then he walked past her, back to the outpost. That evening, she sat with him near a fire he built inside a small metal pit. The stars above were quiet, blinking over snow-covered hills. Valira finally spoke. "You hide a lot." Elias didn't respond. "I saw your medals." "Yeah, they're old. Don't mean much now. You were a hero once." He laughed once, but it was bitter. "No, I was just fast enough not to die." Valira looked at him. "And yet you saved me." "That's different," he said. "How?" He stared into the fire. "Because you reminded me of her." Valira's eyes narrowed. "This Rena?" He nodded. "She was Zareen," he said quietly. "Like you." Valira's heart skipped. "My unit was ordered to secure a village. Zareen rebels had taken over. Or so we were told. But when we arrived, there were only farmers, women, children, a few scared boys with old rifles. What happened? We were told to clean the area. No survivors." Valira's blood froze. "Did you do it?" He looked at her. "No, I didn't. I ran." She didn't expect that. "I tried to help one girl escape. She had eyes like yours. But we got caught. They shot her. They spared me because I was the commanding officer, called me a hero. And you left? I never went back to Earth. I came here, built this place, waiting for something." She looked into the fire. "I thought humans were monsters. I thought aliens were savages." They both sat in silence. Then Elias said, "Now I think war makes monsters out of everyone." Later that night, Valira walked to the storage room. She needed space to think, but her hand landed on a strange box. It clicked open. Inside was a metal device half buried in cloth. She recognized it. It was a war beacon. Still active. Still sending a signal. Her eyes widened. Had Elias kept it on purpose, or had he forgotten? Before she could think more, Elias appeared in the doorway. "You found it." She spun. "You said no one knew we were here." "They don't." "Then why is this still on?" Elias sighed. "Because part of me wanted to be found." Valira stepped back. "By humans? Or by my people?" "Maybe both. Maybe neither. I don't even know anymore." She stared at him. "Turn it off," she said. He didn't move. "Elias," she said firmly, "if you truly saved me to give peace, then stop calling the war back to your door." A long pause. Then, slowly, he reached forward and shut the beacon down. The light faded. A silence filled the room again. But this time, it felt lighter. Enemies return. The morning started with peace. Snow fell lightly outside. Valira sipped warm broth beside the window, watching Elias repair an old drone. The silence between them was no longer cold. It felt comfortable. Then the drone's red light blinked. Elias frowned. "That's not right." He tapped the panel. The drone buzzed louder, flashing again. Valira stood. "What does it mean?" He didn't answer right away. Then he whispered, "We have company." Her heart dropped. 10 minutes later, they stood on the roof of the outpost, covered in white cloaks, watching the sky. In the distance, a sharp humming sound filled the air. It wasn't wind. 3 shadows flew overhead, alien scout ships. Valira's blood turned cold. "Zareen command scouts, they're mine." Elias gave her a look. "Friends?" She shook her head. "They'll see me with a human and assume I've defected. We'll both be targets." He nodded once and turned to go inside. What are you doing? She asked. Preparing. Inside the outpost, Elias opened a floor hatch. Valira looked down and froze. Weapons. Many weapons. Not just Earth tech, hybrid blasters, alien blades, even Zareen stun rifles. You said you weren't a soldier anymore, she said slowly. I'm not, he replied. But I didn't forget how to be one. He tossed her a Zareen shield bracer. She caught it. Her fingers trembled as she locked it to her wrist. We can't win against them. Elias looked her in the eyes. We're not trying to win. We're trying to survive. The first shot hit the roof. Valira rolled across the floor, grabbing a plasma rifle. Elias kicked a panel open and returned fire through a crack in the wall. Outside, Zareen soldiers in sharp black armor spread out, moving fast. They weren't here to talk. They tracked the beacon, Elias shouted. I told you to shut it down. I did, he yelled. But maybe not fast enough. They fought side by side. Valira leapt through smoke, firing stun rounds. Elias moved with deadly skill, quiet, precise, like a ghost from a forgotten war. Then a grenade exploded nearby. Elias was thrown against the wall. Valira screamed, rushing to him. His leg was burned. His vision blurred. Go, he gasped. Get out while you can. She shook her head. I don't leave people behind. With all her strength, she dragged him to the back of the outpost. The smoke hid them. The enemy entered the front door, but the outpost was empty. They escaped into the icy woods. Valira led the way, her body still aching but her mind sharp. Elias leaned on her shoulder, limping. For hours they moved deeper into the trees, hiding under rocks and frost. Finally, when the sky turned orange, they reached a cave. Elias collapsed. We're safe. For now. Valira fell beside him. Her hands shook, she whispered. You could have let me die when you found me. You could have run today, why didn't you? Elias looked at her with tired eyes. Because I don't leave people behind either. Silence filled the cave. Not cold this time, but something warm. A strange warmth between them. Trust. That night, as they listened to distant ships fly past, overhead Valira rested her head near his shoulder. We can't go back now, she said. I know. We'll both be hunted. Then we stay hidden. Together. Valira looked up at him. You still want me here? Even after all this? Elias smiled faintly. You're the first voice I've heard in months, and the first person who didn't. Shoot me on sight. She laughed softly, then whispered, Then we fight together, no more running. And in the dark, a new bond was born. Not between soldier and enemy, but between two survivors who had already lost everything. Now they had each other. The warrior and the ghost snow fell gently outside the cave. Inside, a fire danced, soft and warm. Valira sat across from Elias, both wrapped in thermal blankets. Their bodies were still sore but alive. The danger had passed, for now, but the silence between them had changed. No longer cold. It felt like something was blooming. Elias stared into the fire. He hadn't spoken for minutes. Valira watched him. She had seen him fight like a machine. Now he looked like a man with too many memories. What are you thinking? She asked softly. He blinked. About ghosts. She tilted her head. You see them? He nodded slowly. Every time I close my eyes. Faces of those I couldn't save. Some I killed. Some I failed. He looked at her. You? Valira took a long breath. I see the battlefield. My team. I was their captain. I told them we'd win. I lied. She lowered her eyes. I live. They don't. Elias nodded. Then we both carry ghosts. They sat quietly again. Then he said, I'm tired of being a graveyard. Valira looked at him. So am I. The next day, Elias showed her how to trap heat from the cave walls. She showed him how to detect Zareen trackers using plant signals. Together, they fixed an old scanner from the wreckage and mapped nearby safe zones. They moved in rhythm, not just as allies, as something more. One night, while watching the stars, Valira asked, "Why didn't you give up? You could have left this galaxy, disappeared." Elias pointed at the sky. "Up there, everything is broken. But down here," he looked at her, "I found one thing still worth fighting for." Valira felt something warm stir inside her chest. No one had ever said that to her, not even her own people. Later that night, she found a small music chip in Elias's bag. She asked, "What is this?" "Something I kept from Earth," he said. "Old human song." He plugged it into a speaker. A slow, soft melody filled the cave. It was unlike anything Valira had heard. It didn't sound like war. It didn't sound like home. It sounded like hope. Without thinking, she stepped closer. He offered his hand. She took it. They stood, slow, awkward, moving to the rhythm. Two battle-hardened souls who had never danced, learning how to feel again. For a moment, the war disappeared. No Zareen, no Earth, just a warrior and a ghost, trying to live. The next morning, she woke up early and stared at him sleeping. He looked peaceful for once, and she whispered, "You saved me. And now, I don't want to go back." But she also knew the war wouldn't let them stay hidden forever. As she stepped outside the cave to scout the ridge, her tracker blinked red. Valira froze. She wasn't alone. In the distance, Zareen Hunterbots. Her past was catching up. Fast. She returned quickly and knelt beside Elias. He opened his eyes. "What is it?" "They found us." He didn't ask how, he just said, "Then we don't run this time." She nodded, and they began to prepare. Together. The choice. The morning was too quiet. Valira stood at the edge of the cliff, wind brushing, her hair, eyes locked on the sky. She had seen the signal, a Zareen ship circling above, silent like a hawk. It hadn't attacked yet. It was watching, waiting. She clenched her fists. The past had come for her. Again. Inside the cave, Elias checked their supplies. Food, low. Ammo, less than needed. Shelter, unsafe. Still, he stayed calm. But when Valira stepped back in, she was not calm. "They know I'm here," she said. "They always did," Elias replied. "They just waited to see what you'd do." She sat down hard on the rock floor. "They want me back, alive." He looked at her. "And you?" "I don't know." Elias placed a small device between them. It blinked blue. "A human rescue pod landed nearby last night," he said. "They sent me a signal." Valira's eyes widened. "You can go home?" she asked. He nodded. "If I respond, they'll extract me by morning." She looked away. Silence filled the cave like ice. Two paths. Two pasts. Two decisions. One choice. Elias finally said, "You should go back. Your people think you're a war hero. They'll welcome you." Valira shook her head. "No, they think I'm dead. And if they learn I stayed with a human, saved one, they'll mark me as a traitor." Elias's voice softened. "Then maybe we both stay ghosts." She looked at him. "Would you stay, if I asked?" He hesitated, then said, "Not if you ask as a warrior." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "I want you to ask as you, the one who saved me in that firestorm, the one who danced with me under the stars, the one who laughs in her sleep." Her breath caught in her throat. She had spent her whole life hiding behind armor, rank, and orders. No one had ever seen her until now. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Valira pulled out a small object from her jacket, a piece of her old captain's badge, burnt and bent. She stared at it, then dropped it into the fire. "I won't be who I was," she said. "Not anymore." She looked up at Elias. "I don't want you to leave." He smiled. "I won't." The next day, the Zareen ship lowered closer. A message buzzed through her old communicator. "Commander Valira, if you Are alive, return now. You are needed. She stared at the words, then deleted them. No goodbye. No message. Just silence. She turned off the communicator forever. That night, Elias packed a bag. Where are we going? Valera asked. Somewhere deeper. Somewhere warmer. Somewhere no one looks. He paused, then handed her a new jacket. One. He stitched from both zarine and human cloth. She ran her fingers over it. You made this? He nodded. It's not a uniform. It's for living. She smiled. For the first time in years, she felt alive. Not just surviving. Living. As they walked into the snowy woods together side by side, Valera whispered, Do you think the galaxy will understand this? Elias looked at her. No, he said. But we don't need them to. A new home. The forest was deep, cold, and quiet. Valera walked beside Elias, boots crunching on frozen ground. Her eyes scanned the trees, but not for enemies. Not anymore. They had left the cave behind, left the battlefield behind. Now they walked toward something new. Neither of them spoke for a while, but it wasn't silence from fear or pain. It was peace. They traveled for days, through snowstorms, across broken valleys, over rivers that had frozen into glass. They stopped, only to rest, to eat, and to hold each other in the darkness. Elias no longer limped. Valera no longer hid her face behind her hood. And slowly, they stopped looking over their shoulders. On the 8th day, they found it. A deep valley hidden by cliffs. Trees surrounded it, tall and silent. At its center was a small house, half buried, covered in vines, probably left from some forgotten mining crew. Valera walked inside first, gun ready. Dust. Cobwebs. Nothing more. She turned to Elias. This could work. He nodded. It's not a palace. She smiled. I don't want a palace. They began to build. The roof had holes. They fixed it with stone and old metal sheets. The walls were weak. They patched them with insulation panels from Elias's pack. Each room slowly came alive. A bed, a fire pit, a small table, a new solar panel that hummed with power. Valera decorated the wall with strange flowers from the forest. Elias hung up one of his old jackets. It became a home. Not Zarine, not Earth. Theirs. Time passed. Valera planted seeds outside. Simple things, roots, herbs, fruit-like bulbs from the local trees. She laughed when one exploded juice on her face. Elias hunted, carefully, avoiding anything too large or aggressive. He came home once with a tiny six-legged creature that tasted like chicken. They learned to laugh again, to sleep without nightmares, to live without war. One evening, Valera sat on the roof, legs dangling. The stars sparkled. Soft wind kissed her. Face Elias climbed up beside her. I never imagined this, she said. What? A home. With peace. With you. He smiled. Me neither. She turned to him. Do you ever miss Earth? He paused, then shook his head. No. Everything I needed from Earth is right here. She leaned her head on his shoulder. For a long time, they just watched the sky. But peace, as always, is never perfect. One morning, the sky cracked. A ship flew overhead, fast, loud. Not Zarine or Earth-made. A smuggler. Or worse. They ducked under, trees watching as the craft circled once, then vanished. We're not alone anymore, Elias said. Valera looked at him. What do we do? He smiled faintly. The same thing we always do, prepare, together. That night they built stronger fences, set new traps, rechecked emergency plans. But they didn't panic. This wasn't like before. This time they were defending something that mattered. Weeks later, a soft knock came at the door. Valera stood still. No one had knocked on a door in her life before, not in war. Elias opened it slowly. A young alien girl stood there, thin, dirty, her skin a shade of blue with patches of frostbite. Behind her, two smaller children. I heard there was food here, she whispered. And safety. Valera stepped forward and looked into the girl's eyes. They were just like hers had been once. Lost. Afraid. She knelt down and held out her hand. You're home now, she said. From that day forward, their home was no longer just theirs. More came. Wounded soldiers, runaway slaves, lost travelers, some human, some alien, all broken in different ways. Elias and Valera helped them all, shared food, built more rooms, taught them how to survive. And in time, the valley became a village, not of war, but of healing. The legend spread slowly, whispers on old radio waves and between tired smugglers. A story of a human and a Zarine warrior who lived together, helped everyone and refused to fight anymore. Some said they were lovers, some said they were gods. Most just called them the ghost and the flame. One night, as rain tapped on the roof, Elias looked at Valera and asked, if you had to do it all again, would you still choose this life? She turned to him. Even sooner. He kissed her forehead. Then I'll never leave. And he didn't. Years passed. Children laughed in the gardens, fires danced at night, the stars watched from above. No more war, no more ranks, no more flags, just people, learning to live again. And every morning, Valera opened her eyes, not on a battlefield, not in chains, but in a bed, warm and safe, beside a man who had once been her enemy, and now was her world.